Good evening. Hey there, Tom. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I'm all right. Looking forward to this.
I surprised you then, didn't I? Normally we start these things with me on my own, but you're straight in the mix.
Yeah, I actually think I came out first. It was like one of those news broadcasts where they don't know that they're actually on air.
Exactly right. Yeah. It's lucky you weren't making any rude gestures or shouting at anyone.
Or down in shops.
Yeah. No, I've done that already. Cool. Well, welcome to our members for another Gin Me live tasting. We are right at the tail end of August, and we've got a great gin that hopefully everyone's received. And if you haven't tried it already, then if you have tried it already, you're enjoying it, and if you haven't, then I hope you're going to enjoy it this evening with us. It is, of course, GlenWyvis Goodwill Gin. I've got a bottle there as well, just in case I need backup gin for this evening's session. Tom's going to be making cocktails as usual, which we'll do sort of towards the tail end of the session. It's only going to be about 20 minutes, half an hour. First of all, though, we're going to welcome this month's guest, which is Rihanna Bell from GlenWyvis. Hey, Rihanna.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for joining us. So where are you based tonight, Rihanna?
So tonight I am based in Inverness, so right up in the Highlands. The distillery itself, we're based in a small town called Dingwall, which a lot of people haven't heard of, so sometimes it's easier to say about 20 minutes from Inverness. You go up north, so we're getting on the map. Football is kind of putting us on the map. A football team called Ross County. People might have heard of them. That's the local, but yeah, that's where we are.
Nice. I know nothing about football. Tom, are you aware of Ross County?
I'm familiar with Ross County. I didn't realise that they were doing well at the moment. It sounds as though they must be doing all right, but I know Ross County. Yeah.
I'm not big into football either, but just when I'm out and about and people don't know where Dingwall is, as soon as you say Ross County, they're like, okay. Yeah. So that's my kind of go-to.
I remember Saturday afternoons listening to the scores coming in, and the Scottish Premier League or First Division as it was then, and yeah, Ross County would always pop up. So I do recognise them. I didn't actually know where they were based, but no, I do.
There you go. Every day's a skill day.
That's it. It is.
And you're also based near GlenWyvis as well, right? That's partly the name of the distillery, right? Which is a big mountain up there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So, it's a big Munro. Kind of, we're in the shadows of it. So you can see it from the distillery. Obviously, that's where we get the name for the distillery for. It's on, more so to be fair, to our whiskey side of things. So stay tuned next month for that one. But yeah, it's on our cartons, the kind of contours of the Munro on the cartons, and the height of it and things. So yeah, it's obviously where we're based. It's a beautiful part of the world. Even myself, born and bred in the Highlands, still take it for granted, all the beautiful views and things. And yeah, like I say, you can see it from the distillery. Kind of made sense to include it in the name.
Yeah. So it's a pretty new distillery, right? When was it founded?
It is. So we're a community-owned distillery. So I'll put that in there first just to make the kind of timelines a bit easier to understand. So world's first and only community-owned distillery, which makes us a little bit different. So in 2015, we did a crowdfunder. So lots of lovely people gave us money, which was super nice. Can't complain. We basically started building the distillery. So it was built in 2017, and then we started distilling in 2018. We obviously have our gin and we do whiskey as well. So when we started distilling the whiskey in 2018, obviously I had to put that in casks and leave it to do its thing for a while. So while that was doing its thing, we started doing our gin.
That's an amazing story. So what are the sort of split of the investors then in this? Is it people who are local to the Dingwall area, or is there people from all over the world invested in it?
Yeah, so a lot of the time when you say community and then being based in Dingwall, people think, oh, so Dingwall has a lot of money to have its own kind of distillery. But yeah, it's all over the world. So I suppose it's for the people. That might be a better way of describing it. All being said, a lot of our members are in the Highlands and in the UK itself. But no, we do have some in Germany, some in Japan, and then a few dotted here and there, Belgium, Netherlands. So yeah, it's exciting. So yeah, it's good.
It's interesting because I mean, crowdfunding is such a big thing nowadays.
Yeah.
And some businesses use it to for investment when they're already up and running. Crowdfunding a business from scratch is, I mean, I usually see it a lot on Kickstarter and everything, but like you say, first time it's been done with a distillery, it's interesting.
Yeah, when we did it, it was record breaking. Like the amount of money that we raised and the amount of time was just phenomenal. But I mean, I think we had the advantage that it had never been done before for a distillery. So to say if people kept with the idea, would it be so successful in a couple of years? Who would know? But we were lucky that we got it at a good time. It's quite interesting as well. So currently we've got about 3,800 members, but everyone's got an equal share. So it doesn't matter how much you put in, doesn't matter, so how little or how much, everyone has still got their kind of one vote, so to say, which is good because it means everyone's equal. And yeah.
Did you when you were looking to crowdfund, did you forgive me if I've missed this, did you already have a site, or was it a crowdfund even pre-site, as in you found the site after you raised the money to open a distillery? Or was it we've already got this site, we've got the land, we've got the the warehouse, the farm, whatever it is, and this is what we want to raise for?
Yeah, so everything was completely built in terms of like the warehouse, the distillery itself. But we are based on a working farm, and it was our founder, it's his farm, so kind of had space. So yeah, obviously works had to be done to get the space to have the distillery on it. The land itself,
it's always a great, well, I guess originally secondary use, but sometimes becomes the primary use of farms and land like that, right? As in a distillery will go in there, but the great thing is that they've got the space to expand if need be in that sort of that locality, which is great. So
yeah, it's good. It seems very traditional, having a base right up in the hills, where we are. We're off like a single track road. The view around the distillery is stunning. On a working farm, producing Scottish gin and Highland single malt whiskey. So it's very, very Scottish when you think about it. But yeah, it's good.
What are your closest neighbours there in terms of whiskey distilleries or any other gin distilleries?
Yeah, so probably, I mean, gin, it's there's so many amazing new gins coming up and about the place, and there's quite a few, but they're probably more so based kind of in Inverness area. In terms of whiskey, our closest would be Glenord, so the Singleton, that's in Muirgord, that'd be our closest neighbour. And then you've got Dalmore, that's a big name, Balblair, Invergordon, they're probably the main ones that people would know. And then coming this way to Martin, from where I am right now to Martin's about 10 minutes away, so about say half an hour from the distillery.
There's a fair few big names knocking around from you, like established old distilleries, let's say.
Yeah, definitely.
Does that bring again, you have to excuse me, do you guys have do you take visitors? Have you got a visitor centre and facility for that, or is that yet to come?
It's yet to come. So again, just because we're based on a working farm, and where we are, like I was saying, up a single track road, not the best conditions for it. So at the moment, unfortunately, no. But again, being community owned, I mean, being a distillery in itself, so many people want to come and visit. And then because we've got the community side of it too, where we've obviously got people that have put money into the business, people can buy casks and things like that as well that they want to come and see. So it's definitely in the works for the future, but not at the moment. So it's great to do things like this, and then we can talk to people about who we are and what we do.
Yeah,
well, I was going to say that kind of means that this is as good as it gets for now, or maybe face to face with you with a few more tasting glasses. But, nice. So just moving on to the gin then. As you say, it's not uncommon practice for new whiskey distilleries to also make a gin or some other unaged spirit that can, I guess it fills a lot of purposes. One is generate some cash flow when you're kind of investing all your money into whiskey and laying it down and not getting any return for the in the early years, or at least not a lot of return. But I guess also it starts to make a name for the distillery as well, doesn't it? Gets that. It gets the name, the name in front of people. I guess it's also, an opportunity to get used to, the kind of workflow of putting a product together and bottling and logistics and route to market, all that sort of stuff, getting it placed. So let's talk a little bit about Goodwill Gin. Where's the name come from, for starters? What's Goodwill all about?
Yeah, so this is probably my favorite part of the whole distillery itself. I mean, it seems silly that you work for a distillery and whiskey's not your favorite, but I'll come out and say I'm not a big whiskey drinker. But gin, on the other hand, I can drink that all day. So I love getting the chance to talk about the Goodwill Gin. And what makes it even better is that we have something called a Goodwill Fund. So essentially all the profits that we make from selling our Goodwill Gin goes into the Goodwill Fund. And then local businesses, schools, organisations, they can apply for funding. And as long as it'll benefit the society in some way, they hopefully get awarded some money.
Nice. That's cool. Amazing. Yeah. So there's another unique aspect to this distillery, and that's sort of based around community, and then community owned, and then community funded, and then funding community.
Yeah, so it's kind of it's all turning each other around. We had our first prize given in March this year, so we gave away £10,000. There's 3 different elements to the Goodwill Fund. So you've got cultural, entrepreneurial, and educational. So whatever category that you fit into, like I say, they applied, and we had some great businesses and schools doing amazing things. So there was one again which kind of got awarded and then gave back to the community. So we had a digital media production company who were awarded some funding, and they basically wanted to help other local businesses in Dingwall itself. So local businesses in the high street make like promotional videos for them to help them get people back out into the shops instead of online, like is the way to do it these days. And then schools, we had one school who used their money to make a sensory room. So yeah, it was great to actually, when we had the prize given, see these people and hear what they're going to do with it. And yeah, it just felt super, super rewarding. So funnily enough, I actually had a meeting with the Goodwill Committee this morning, and our next round, is going to be in the autumn time, and we're hoping to give away £20,000 this time. So that'll be a total of 30,000 in the year.
That's brilliant.
Which I think is too bad.
Really good. Right. Yeah, it's really good.
Gin that leaves a nice taste in your mouth, then, doing all that.
Yeah. A long finish.
So what about speaking of nice tastes, let's talk a little bit about how it's made. We've got a question actually. Might as well kick it off with this. Do any of the ingredients come from the farm?
So not from the farm that we're on. It's more just I was going to say something there, but I'm not too up to my farm knowledge. So I don't know if this will make sense. The farm that we're on is mainly focused just on the animals instead of like produce. But we get our hawthorn. So hawthorn is one of the botanicals used in the gin, and that is from a local farm you can see it from the distillery. It's a stone's throw away. So that's the one that we do get local. Apart from that, it is all just sourced, being completely honest. In terms of botanicals, it's all made at the distillery, so all distilled at the distillery. We do all the bottling ourselves as well, so we've got a bottling cabin, so it's all put into the bottles, labelled, and then put into their boxes for all you lovely people to enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to kind of source. I guess there are gins that are sourcing a lot of botanicals locally in the UK, forage gins and all this kind of stuff. But even those gins, it's hard for those botanicals they're using to have a meaningful impact on the flavour of the gin without the gin not tasting like gin anymore. There's not a great deal of juniper growing in the British Isles anymore, and it's certainly not on a commercial level at this stage. And then other botanicals that are commonly used in gin, like angelica and coriander seed, cinnamon, licorice, none of these ingredients are native. So if you kind of want it to still taste like gin, then you've got to accept that, you're going to be, buying ingredients from the places that produce the highest quality stuff. And then, do like what you guys are doing, where you can find something local that might give the product a little bit of an edge, like hawthorn berries or whatever it might be. That gives it a twist, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, totally. Just reiterate everything you said. It's obviously something that's looked into at the start, but it just isn't feasible.
Yeah, certainly. This is a good question, actually. I haven't tried the gin yet, but will this weekend. What style of gin is this? So I guess like elevator pitch, what would you describe it to taste like?
So I would, so it's a Scottish craft gin. I would best describe it as a London dry gin. So we've got 2 cask mature gins as well. So when they're kind of all lined up together, the Goodwill Gin is best described as your London dry. So 9 botanicals in it, like say locally picked hawthorn is one of them, juniper as well, which is in most, if not all, gins these days. And then you've got the citrusy side of it, so you've got orange peel and lemon peel in it. When you first taste it, is very citrusy, I would say. Very light, refreshing, nice on a summer's day. But there's cinnamon in it as well. So with the cinnamon and a bit of coriander and things like that, it does give it a bit more of a smooth, creamy, almost almond taste. But yeah, super light, super refreshing. One of those where you could open a bottle and it could be gone very easily.
Yeah. I agree with that. I was just thinking when I was nosing it then, I think it's also got, which I personally really like, is this sort of, and I mean this in a very positive way, or it does have a farmy note to it, in that it's almost like this sort of hay, grassy, dried grass type character, which is sort of like delicate, almost floral. It's like a bit like chamomile in a way. Like dried chamomile, kind of. It's not that exactly, but I think you get that on the nose, which is brilliant. And then, it's really delicate on the palate and a lot of citrus, which is not it's not a bad thing. I really like that as well, and lends itself very well to mixing. And it's actually incredibly pleasant, just drank neat like this as well.
Yeah, so, definitely.
Really good.
Yeah, so we would always, when you're talking about like serves and things like that, the perfect serve we would say is a generous amount. So no scrimping here. So generous amount of the gin over lots of crushed ice, and then a slice of a curl of orange, so an orange garnish, and then if you want to get super fancy, a bit of bruised coriander in there as well, just to give it that more complexity to it. Personally, I love the citrus side of it. That is my go-to in terms of gins. I'm always, more on the orange raspberry side of things. So I just like it with the gin, with a bit of orange, perfect for me.
Yeah. Well, I've got one in a moment or so, whenever everyone's ready, one of the drinks, or the drink that I'm going to make is it's kind of an amalgamation of all the different things that you spoke about there, in a way. It does involve crushed ice. It does have a berried note. It does have citrus in there. And clearly it is going to work incredibly well with the gin.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We're on the right track.
Do you want to do it? All right, fine. Well, look, before I begin, I've got my glass and my ice in the fridge and freezer, so I'm going to get that, which is only here, and then I'll start. Just bear with me, because I thought if I've got a glass of crushed ice just sat out on the side, it's going to melt. So the drink that I'm going to make for you guys today is a drink that I started making when I first started bartending about 23 years ago. In the early 2000s, and it was one that I've made I don't know how many hundreds of times over the years, and I'll probably make it wrong now because I haven't actually made it for a good few years. But that said, it is an absolutely delicious drink called the Bramble, and my understanding of this drink, it's one that originated in the 80s, I think, and was created by a gent called Dick Bradsell, who was quite a well-known bartender based in London across numerous well-known venues at that time. And I believe he is also credited with creating the espresso martini as well, or the vodka espresso, I think it was, as it was known at that time. But this drink is, again, everything that we do, I say this every month, but it is so true and it's so important. Everything that we do is always designed to be made very easily at home. And I think it's crucial. So the first thing I'm going to say is one of the ingredients in this drink I've swapped out. And the reason I've swapped it out is because I couldn't get hold of creme de mure in my local supermarkets. So I'm going to replace that with creme de cassis, which is equally as delicious and will do as good a job, if not better. But This drink consists of a few very simple ingredients. One being, which I'll start with, fresh lemon juice. So I've got a glass here, which you can see. I've just filled it with crushed ice, and I'm going to put in there the juice of about probably 2/3 of a lemon, really, to start with. And you can see that I'm just building it in the glass. No need for any stirring, no need for any shaking. I am going to give it a bit of a churn in a minute. I'm going to add into there a small amount of, that's been in my freezer, sugar syrup. So this is a mixture of basically sugar and hot water on a ratio of 1:1 in terms of weight or quantity. And I'm going to add in there about half the quantity of that I've just added in lemon juice. And then I'm going to add a nice healthy measure. No, there's such a thing. Nice 50 ml measure of the GlenWyvis gin in there, like so. Now, at this point, what I'm hoping to do is, if this loosens up, because I have put it in my freezer, is just give this a little bit of a churn, like this, just to mix it through, just gently, like so. Very simple. And then what I'm going to do to that is I'm going to add just a touch more crushed ice on top, like this. And as I used to make it, rightly or wrongly, in the early 2000s, I'm going to drizzle just over the top of this a small quantity, probably 10, 50, maybe 20 milliliters of, in this case, creme de cassis, which would normally be creme de mure. And you'll notice that it's going to bleed through this drink in a very delightful 1980s fashion. And you could just imagine drinking this in a beautiful hotel bar in about 1988 or 89. I'm going to garnish it with a slice of lemon, just on the side like so. And although it isn't creme de mure, I'm going to add a couple of blackberries on top of that as well, like this. And of course, being made over crushed ice, a couple of straws to drink from. So very simple. You can see I've used a spoon, a juicer. You could have pre-juiced it before that, and it's all built in the glass with a bit of crushed ice. You can make it over cubed ice if you wanted to, but I like this sort of drizzling effect of the liqueur going over the top. So there we have a bramble.
Looks delicious.
Does look good, yeah.
Absolutely banging. Yeah. It's really good. It's well, I mean, I'm sure you can imagine it's got everything, right? You've got all that fruitiness, that sort of buried richness and acidity. You've got the lemon juice, a bit of sugar, and obviously the botanicals coming through the gin. It's just an absolutely delicious drink. I can't imagine many people not taking to a drink like that, to be honest with you. And it is, like Tristan alluded to at the start, right at the tail end of the summer. But needless to say, it's not over yet, although it might be in Scotland.
Yeah. I don't know if we ever get a summer, to be fair, but September can sometimes be okay.
I can certainly see it fading out down here, that is for sure. Yeah. But maybe this is a drink to brighten up as brighten the days as we move into autumn and winter.
Yeah, so, there we go.
Well, one good thing about moving into autumn is there are blackberries appearing everywhere at the moment. So if, like you, Tom, it's hard to come by a bottle of creme de mure, and to be honest, I'm a little bit upset that you didn't do this. You could go out foraging for some blackberries and make your own.
I could have done that. Although it's probably a little bit easier in your neck of the woods than it is in central London, but you do find them. In fact, there are quite a lot of them on local common, and they're normally ready not far from now, aren't they? In a few weeks, 3 weeks maybe, something like that.
They're I don't know if it's just where I am in Cornwall or whether they're just a bit early this year, but in general, but they're ready now down here.
Yeah, I could have done that, to be fair. I could have done that, and again, it's so easy to make, really. To make a simple liqueur with blackberries like that, dead easy. Just maceration and sweetening to the right level, and you can create something really beautiful. But I mean, like I say, that is just as delicious. What other drinks are there with cassis? I'm just thinking Kia. I'll have to start drinking Kia Royales.
Yeah. What's that one? There's the tequila drink El Diablo. It's
El Diablo, yeah. It's with ginger. Is it ginger beer and cassis?
Ginger beer and cassis and tequila. Oh my god, it's good, and lime juice.
Yeah. I can see my next month opening up for me.
Cool, good stuff. Well, just one more drink recommendation here that came from one of Trevi, our previous question asker, who's thanking us for the descriptions of style and suggesting that they might try the gin with iron brew, which is fantastic, really.
Yeah, staying true to Scotland with that one.
Yeah. I mean, what doesn't mix with iron? What doesn't mix with iron brew? This is the thing. I don't think I've ever tasted any spirit that doesn't taste good with iron brew.
Do you know what? I feel like iron brew is usually my hangover drink. So I don't know how, when you've got that way where you don't want to then drink it with alcohol. So
this is what I was thinking as well.
Quite nice, actually.
Yeah, iron brew is the antidote. You don't drink that with the poison, do you?
No, it's a life changer on a Sunday morning.
Maybe. Cool.
Fantastic stuff. All right. Well, that's brilliant. We've got some good questions this month, and nice drink and great chat as well from Rihanna. So thank you, guys.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Rihanna.
Yes.